So then guys, you've just picked up your Mercedes and are probably wondering what all the buttons do. However, something that a lot of people ask is, what are the buttons on the steering wheel? Well, that is exactly what we're going to run through today, all of the buttons on the various Mercedes-Benz that you can buy pretty much out there today. And we're starting off with one that was made a few years ago. So covering the steering wheel design that kind of existed roughly, it would have been about 2012 to 2016-ish, around about that time. They kind of look a bit like this. And basically there's up, down, left and right buttons on the left-hand side, an OK button and the back button, all for controlling the screen directly in front of you, going through like your trip computer to see MPG, miles per gallon, or range, or how you're doing with kind of statistical information. You basically just select these and kind of go through the different menu options like this, and of course then you can go left and right as well. And then over on the right hand side you have a couple of phone buttons. So you've got one to answer the phone, one to hang up on the phone or send people to voicemail. Then there's a picture of a kind of mouth speaking, which kind of lets you give voice commands to the car. Now this does depend on which multimedia system you have. For example, this one here is Garmin Map Pilot, which only gives you commands for the sat nav. But if you have command, spelt with one M, this is one of the upgraded multimedia systems of the time. This will then allow you to do commands for other things in the car as well. So it just depends on what multimedia system you have. And then finally, you've got the volume up and down buttons with a mute button over there as well. And there is a hidden actually thing on this type of steering wheel. So for example, if I go to radio, just make sure that's turned down. If you hold the mute button, you can actually put on the traffic alerts or traffic announcements and hold mute again, and then that will go back off. So quite a useful thing if you do make use of those. Those alerts are the ones that kind of announce, I think it's every half an hour or every hour, of the kind of local traffic where you are, just in case you don't want to look at the sat-nav live traffic. But yes, that's the steering wheel there. Some cars also do have flappy paddles behind, so you can adjust gears manually using those. This particular car is a manual, quite rare in Mercedes actually, because quite a lot of them are automatic. And then the stuff behind the steering wheel, you've got your, of course, your indicators like normal, wipers just on the end, and then of course your full beam by pulling towards you and full beam push away from you. And then underneath on this particular design we have the cruise control and speed limiter, but I do have a separate video on cruise control and speed limiter which I will link up above. So that is this steering wheel. Let's move on to the next design and show you what all the buttons do on that one. And there are a few new ones on that one, and the cruise control has moved to a slightly different place. So jumping into a newer car with a newer style steering wheel, you'll notice instantly that there are, well, way more buttons, which is kind of a good thing because now you can have both hands on the steering wheel and literally control virtually almost everything on the steering wheel itself. So there's dedicated buttons to do certain things. Now, if we split a line down the middle, this is where Mercedes-Benz ingenuity and design comes from. Pretty much the left-hand side of this controls things over on the left-hand side of the car, and then the right-hand side controls things over on the right-hand side. So that's quite clever, just to kind of have that split down the middle. So starting out on top left, you have a back button, a touchpad and a home button. Those control the left screen. So most of the time you'll use a wheel kind of down in the middle here, or a touchpad. Some models have a touch screen in the middle, but you usually do have this up here as well, so you can make use of those buttons to pretty much control everything on the screen as well. Buttons underneath, very similar to the car we just saw. We've got the answer and hang up buttons. These are like a toggle switch, you move them up or down. So either answer a phone or hang up or send someone to voicemail. After this we have the volume button, so you literally just swipe this up or down. It is also a button, so a little mute symbol just there on the bottom. But yeah, volume up and down just like that, mute button in the middle. The one next to this is a picture of like a person speaking, so this is the voice assistant. On some models this then depends on your multimedia system. If you have command like this one, there's various commands that you can give. In fact, I've actually done a video on the top 10 commands that you can do on this system, so be sure to check that out on the banner up above if you want to see all the various commands that you can give. Quite simply, just nudge it up, and then you'll hear a beep, and then you can give a command to the car based on what's shown on the screen. Now I'm just going to press the cancel back or cancel button because I don't want her talking at the moment just while I'm trying to do this. The star just underneath is the final button on the left hand side. This is a favourites button. So favourites button I have covered before, but basically it's your own customised menu, and primarily most of the time this is where all of your sat nav favourites are saved, but you can actually make use of this menu and pretty much control and put anything in here. You can put your favourite radio stations, your favourite contacts, but I said most people use it for their favourite sat nav destinations because then it's only a couple of clicks away. And then finally moving to the right hand side, this is where some of these changes have happened. So you have a home button, a touchpad and a back button identical to the left side, but because it's on the right, this will do the right hand screen. So you can swipe this up and down just like this with this touchpad and go through these various settings, press the home button, and then you can swipe left or right. And if you happen to be in a menu that you didn't mean to go into, there is a back button to go back one step. So that is how that bit works. Of course, there's various designs and themes and things you can primarily do, especially if this is a digital screen in here, digital instrument cluster, you can customize a lot of elements on that. And then finally underneath this are the cruise control buttons. So we've got cruise control, limiter, set, resume and cancel. Basically, in a nutshell, and the easiest way of remembering the order of these buttons, from left to right, on the left hand side choose cruise control or limiter, so you choose what you want first. And then with the set buttons you kind of choose your desired speed, so you just kind of nudge that kind of thing up or down just like this. So obviously set plus up puts the speed up, down, down. And then res is resume, and then cancel is just underneath. So basically from left to right you choose what you want, turn it on and then turn it off. Just so it happens to be a resume button on the end as well. The only exceptions to this are cars fitted with the driving assistance package. A couple of buttons will have moved around to accommodate some of the more advanced functions that it offers. So you'll have active distance assist Distronic here, adjusting your distance to the car in front, set your speed, cancel and resume on the end. Basically on cars with this package, the back and home button here for controlling the screen are combined into one button. So guys, that is a video on all of the Mercedes-Benz buttons on the steering wheel. So what about if you want to know more? Well, I've got a dedicated video playlist on tips and tricks here, so be sure to check one out, as I guarantee you there's probably a tip and trick on there that you didn't know. There's over 100 of them. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Huge shout out to these guys, Sandown Mercedes-Benz, as they help provide access to all these awesome cars on the videos. See you next week.